Hello dreamers, this is Somnia Stellarum. We're back in our BayCraft base here, and we're going to do a little bit of a Let's Chat today. So our Let's Chat topic is going to be kind of what I see for the future in terms of channels, in terms of all sorts of stuff. I'm going to talk a little bit about how I see the future going. I'm going to talk a little bit about I'm an engineer. I'm going to talk about how I see technology influencing the future, and I'm going to talk about what that means for YouTube and gaming channels and all that sort of good stuff. So, for now, I am going to do just one little thing. Let's put our helmet of safety back on, and then we're going to come down over here. I've shown all of this off, I think, but what I haven't shown is I've changed this a little bit. So I added a roof tile. We still need to finish up as we come down here. You can kind of see everything kind of laid out underneath this. So I do need to add some more stuff going on upstairs. I want to get rid of the stone walls, but for now that's good enough. Same thing over in these rooms over here. I do want to change this this spawner setup just a little bit. This was just to get it going. The cows are supposed to, the baby cows are supposed to end up. Do I actually have it blocked off? Yeah, maybe do. They're supposed to be pushed into this room over here, but it's not really working all that well. So I'm going to have to figure out why it's not working. This isn't actually an ME controller yet. I have it all crafted, and I'm going to be setting up my ME stuff over in this area, and I think this is where I'm going to have my controller itself. But I haven't quite moved it all over yet. So it's coming. It's going to happen at some point. And then I did actually do a power monitor. So now I can click on that, and you can see I'm using about 18 RF a tick over the last 5 seconds. So I'm using a little bit of power. This is probably putting out like 32. Yeah, so the idle of this is powering everything that I need. So I'm using a little bit more or a little bit less than what that idle is providing. And that's because we did augment that dynamo a little bit. So it's providing quite a bit of power without actually having to kind of increase its output at all. Okay, so on to the topic of the day, our Let's Chat topic. So I'm actually on with BayCraft. No, I think he's off in the Nether. I'm going to head to spawn right near his base, and I'm going to do some work on the town hall. And maybe start talking about some other ideas that I have for the area, or little plans that I have for myself. Don't worry, Sam, if you're watching, I'm not going to do any major changes. I'm going to basically be working on the basement. So it's not going to be any major structural changes to the building. I think she was a little bit worried that I would go off and try to redesign it or something, or I don't know. So, but I'm not going to do that. It's a collaboration we have going together, and I want to keep it that way. So, but I do want to. Oh, geez, you gonna explode? That was right beside me, wasn't that? Okay. I do want to actually build another building over here. And I'm still staying away from my Let's Chat topic, but that's okay. A few minutes is fine. What I want to do is I want to build an apartment building. So there's a lot of people who have their bases right near here. So Dr. Death is one. He has this really fantastic castle. Base there's another. He's actually over in that glass sort of dwelling into this cliff face there. It looks really cool. This smeltery is a community smeltery, so I came and I upgraded it. For those on the server, I added a few things. I added a magnetic dynamo downstairs. You can see the cabling coming in, the I/O cabling coming in right there. And I also added an ender tank that's providing the lava for the magmatic dynamo, but then it's also providing lava here. So this is constantly going to be filled up. Nobody has to worry about that. Apparently there's a little bit of iron and a little bit of blood left in there. Okay. Good to know. Yeah, so this is, we have power in here. We can probably add some more machines in here if we wanted to. But that's the basics of it. There's a few things in there, it looks like. Okay. Good to know, good to know. And then I did come and I added a path. I didn't want to do this on camera, but I added a path down here. It kind of comes at an awkward angle. I'll kind of see what other people think of this. I don't mind it terribly, but I could always move it back like one block there. But it comes into our fountain. And then I came and I added the arches on the other two entrances. So we had arches there, we had arches there. I want to add more on the other arches over here. So let's head over here. Oh, by the way, I did manage to name Bob, and he's still here. Hello, Bob. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you again. I hope everything's going well, and you're not being bothered by your neighbors. Let's head over here. Okay. So what did I want to talk about? I want to talk about the future and technology and all sorts of good stuff. And a creeper. Well, I don't want to talk about a creeper. I want to kill the creeper. Okay. Skilly, what are you doing? I'm not going to kill you. What's the problem with the short bow? Haha, gotcha. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about today was the future of... Oh, you're just putting that right there, aren't you? Okay. Let's light this up a little bit more. Try to prevent mobs from spawning over here. Okay, so I wanted to talk about the future. And by the future, what I wanted to talk about was, you can see I've done a little bit of digging down here. Let's morph really quickly. Hello? Okay, so by the future, what I want to talk about was, I want to basically talk about what I see as the future in terms of technology and in terms of YouTube, and what are the trends that I see and why do I think YouTube matters in the whole scheme of things. So as many of you know, I'm actually an engineer. I went to school as an engineer, and I worked for many years as an engineer. I'm still got the technical chops to kind of do engineering type stuff. So if the right project comes along, I'm certainly willing to do some more engineering work still. That said, that's all the way down to the end there. That said, I do see the world is changing just a little bit. And by the world is changing, what I mean is there's definitely some things that are coming that are going to change the way we interact. And it's not just with technology, but it's going to be the way we interact as a society as well. So what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is for many years, and this has been going on pretty much since the Industrial Revolution, people have been worried about machines coming and taking their jobs. And that's really what it's all been about. A lot of the worrying about what's going to happen. For many years, productivity increased, but the number of jobs required to do that same amount of work, or to do more work, it basically increased the jobs. So even though there was fewer people needed to do an individual task. So that's what the productivity increase basically did. There was still a lot of people who it was creating more jobs than it was replacing because of productivity. So that's been occurring for many, many years. And when I went to school, that's kind of was still the case. And I'm not that old. Like, I'm probably older than most YouTubers, especially new YouTubers right now. But I'm still not that old. And when I went to school, it wasn't that long ago. But what I've seen recently is there's technology like drones, and there's self-driving cars that are going to be coming out very, very soon. I think much sooner than people expect. And these types of technologies are actually going to replace many jobs. And I'm not just talking about drivers. I'm not just talking like long-haul truck drivers. I see that as something that's going to be replaced by self-driving cars or self-driving trucks very soon. But it's not limited to them. I look at the work that I do as an engineer, as an office worker type job, and that is very prone to being automated, in my opinion. I think it's going to be automated at some point, and it's just a matter of time. And I think that goes for a lot of jobs. And what this comes down to is we're going to see a very big portion of society ending up without work, in a sense. And we're going to have to figure out what that means for us as a society. And I say that as the global we. I'm Canadian, of course, so I'm talking in the global we here. It's going to be something that affects everybody and not just Canadians or Americans or Europeans or Greeks and I think a lot of the economic turmoil that we see in recent years, I've been part of the workforce for many of these problems. So whether it's uprisings in the Arab Spring uprisings, or whether it's Greece that's defaulting on its loans, or all sorts of problems, or the bank crisis in the US, which kind of kick-started a whole bunch of the more recent problems. A lot of these problems come down to our productivity continues to increase in terms of technology, but the amount of workers that we need is actually starting to drop, even to get the same amount of productivity increases and growth overall. And the reason why this has a big problem, or creates a big problem for the economy, is it comes down to when the car manufacturers are looking at getting robots back in the 80s. And some of the car manufacturers, they were touring these new plants that had all these robots that were making the assembly and doing the welding, and there was a lot of fanfare to it. And as there was an executive touring the plant, and he was there with a union representative, and their conversation kind of went, and it's paraphrased a little bit. I think this is a fairly common story for people to tell, but the conversation went somewhat like this. It's the executive turned to the union leader and said, "Hey, how are you going to sell union cards to all of these robots?" And the union leader turned around and said, "I've got an even bigger problem. How are you going to sell them cars?" And that's kind of our problems right now in a nutshell. So we are in a consumer-driven society. And Base there it is asking me a question. Okay, hold on one second. let me just answer this question. Okay, so let me just grab some blocks here. I'm going to start working on building up my building up the walls here. Okay, that should be good. All right, so where was I? So we were talking about the future and productivity and how that's going to be changing the way the economy is going to be running. Now, I see some major problems because a lot of productivity gains are going to come at the expense of jobs, which it hasn't so far. Well, it has in the sense that recent years, I think over the last 20 years, you've actually seen a lot of productivity gains, and a lot of big companies that have started, like Google and Facebook, they've taken over a large section of the economy, and the GDP probably would have shrunk without these companies that were involved in this. However, the amount of jobs that they use to generate the GDP that they do is actually quite small comparatively. So you look at car manufacturers, they were very labor intensive, and you've seen a lot of companies that in more recent years, it takes a lot less in terms of jobs to make the same amount of impact on the economy, which is, I mean, that's what productivity is. It's how much of an impact do you have for a given number of jobs. Now, the problem comes when you look at spending habits and how do the number of jobs that are available, how does that impact our spending habits? If there's more people that are without a job, they won't be able to spend as much, which will impact the companies and how much money they can make, and vice versa, and vice versa. So we do have a bit of a dilemma, and we need to be creative about the way that we approach this. I think even if you just look at my field of engineering, you see that a lot of jobs have become commodities in a sense. So if I, as an engineer, go looking for work, the companies that are hiring me, they treat my job very much like they would treat buying oil. There's a whole bunch of supply, and you can buy a whole bunch of examples of an engineer, and it's all roughly equivalent. Not exactly, but close enough that it doesn't make too much of a difference. So whether you hire one guy or the next, it doesn't make too much of a difference. Which is, I'm not complaining about this so much as I'm stating it as a fact of how the economy is going right now. And but what I see is this provides an opportunity for stuff like YouTube to become a platform for creators. And I think this is why you see YouTube kind of thriving and the ecosystem thriving. I mean, if you look at it, this year there's $10 billion that's going to YouTube and content creators. Well, 5.5 billion of that would go to content creators. A lot of that's going to people like PewDiePie and the really big guys on YouTube. But there's still quite a bit of it that's going to smaller creators like myself and like some of the channels on BayCraft or that I follow, or there's a whole bunch of examples of smaller channels that are making a little bit of money, but not much. Now, this is only going to increase because if you look at YouTube Red, it became the top grossing app on the App Store, and much like ad revenue, it's going to be separated out mostly to the big guys first, but that's still going to end up with a lot of money going towards content creators. And I think we're going to see a bit of a mini explosion next year of people going on YouTube or small content creator channels starting to make more money for less views. I think we're going to see a really big impact because of YouTube Red. And I'm bullish on this because as soon as you start changing from an ad revenue based sort of a system to a user paying directly to the content creator, you start to see a spike in the dollar amount per view. Because any dollar amount, even though it's $10 a month, that's not that much really. And you can really see a lot of people willing to spend $10 a month, and it's not really, frankly, that much. But if I compare it to the amount of videos that I would watch in a month, and if I was to divide that $10 up among those videos, which is essentially what I'm doing if I'm an average user, then you're going to see quite a change in their ad revenue. So I think it's a really good thing in the end. And the other thing about this is I think it's changing the way we view the economy. So when you're a car manufacturer, you want to make a better car than the next guy. That's your entire goal. Let's just use these. That's good enough. Oops, not those. Okay, so your goal as a car manufacturer is to beat the other guy. That's your entire goal. If you don't beat the other guy, you're not doing your job, basically. And that goes for a lot of other companies that were around at the same time as the big car companies. As you look at GE, or you look at even Microsoft to a certain extent, you look back 20 years, and the way that companies grew was they defeated their competition. That's the way they grew their companies. So if you compare that to the way that you grow a YouTube channel, especially a gaming channel, I think it's very, very different. A gaming channel is all about working with your, in a sense, with your competitors, with other gaming channels, because that lets you promote your brand. It lets you develop a common brand between gaming channels, and it's just better for the overall system. Plus, if you have more people in the system overall, then there's more money to go around, and the system gets bigger. I don't know if this is going to be like that forever, but certainly right now that's the way I look at it and I view it. It's a very cooperative system. And this is kind of in direct contrast with the old competition style that you used to see from companies like car manufacturers and different stuff like that. So that impact is actually really big, and I think it's understated right now. And the reason why is because even if you look at advertising, you're competing for the attention of people. And in a sense, that's what a gaming channel is doing, and that's the product that it's delivering via AdSense. but it can also just deliver pure entertainment at a cost to the end user. And that's what something like YouTube Red is trying to do. And even stuff like Patreon, you see a lot of content creators going to Patreon because they're able to generate some more revenue just by asking those users who have the money, can afford to pay a little bit of extra to get some extra reward content or bonus content. They're asking them to give them a little bit of money. And it's all completely voluntary, and I think it's great. It lets users give money to the content creators that they really enjoy. It lets musicians get money. I'm a big fan of some musicians like Walk Off the Earth and Lindsey Sterling and different musicians like that. They are fantastic, and they actually use Patreon to support making their music videos, which is great. It's a great way for them to connect with their fans, and it's a great way to generate extra content for their fans and generate extra earnings for themselves, as well as test out their music without having to, in a sense, be competitive with other musicians, because other musicians want to see them succeed as well. And really that's what this all comes down to, is a lot of today's economy is going to be based on being cooperative with others, as opposed to the old style economy of being competitive with others and trying to basically strong arm other companies out of your space. I think that's the wrong way to look at YouTube in particular, and it's the wrong way to look at huge portions of the economy right now. And I think that in the next few years, we're going to really see the impact of this. So I think I've talked about this enough. I'm really bullish about YouTube in gaming in general, and I think we're going to see a lot of really cool stuff coming in the next few years. And yeah, I'm looking forward to joining everybody on this journey. I think it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be lots of fun. And I hope you guys enjoyed my thoughts here. Let me take off the hat. I know it's raining outside, so I'm going to stay in here. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm kind of curious what you guys think. This is a bit more of a different Let's Chat. It's much more economic based and a little bit more serious, less just sort of rambling on my part. But I think it's an important topic, and it's something I think a lot of you might respond to and want to talk about. And certainly I've seen a lot of YouTubers kind of chatting about this on their own channels. And yeah, I think this is something to watch over the next few years. And I'm certainly very excited about what's to come. And I can't wait to see what it is, what it's like with everybody coming along for the ride. I'm looking forward to the future, and it should be a lot of fun. So on that note, I'm going to leave you guys here, and I hope to see you guys back at the next Let's Chat. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys next time. Okay? See you guys later. Bye.